Thank you everyone for being here. Distinguished guests, colleagues, friends. It's a pleasure to have you all here at the CloudReady Nigeria Breakfast. About 16, 17 years, 18 years ago, if I wanted to take anybody here for a lunch, business lunch, we would have to have words of cash to pay for that lunch. But now, the innovation that's happened in that space is so immense. The volumes of transaction we're seeing with some of the operators in this room is historic. Last year, the NABE said that across all electronic channels in Nigeria, the transaction volume was a quadrillion, which is a million billion.
So it always makes me reflect that although things have changed so much has remained the same over the last 25 years. Platforms are platforms, and some of the diagrams I show here are similar to what I would have done and looked at and models we used 25 years ago. And all of that has been a journey since. In Europe, we've had the single European payment area. In ECOWAS, we've got UAMOA coming up with its own payment systems and so on. But when I go to South Africa and I can use my British Visa card and I just touch contactless payments, it makes me realize just how much more the world has become integrated with payments.
But then in this fintech space, they face real trade-offs. And that's why at CloudReady Nigeria Breakfast, we want to move beyond buzzwords to critically analyze what cloud readiness means for Nigeria, how to architect systems that balance sovereignty with scalability, how to embed compliance by design into everything that we do, and how to ensure resilience, performance, and ultimately AI readiness.
Now moving on to the first panel session titled Scaling Smart, Navigating Cloud, Compliance, and Cost in Nigeria's Fintech Ecosystem.
Been in IT for 40 years. I think today there are quite a lot of things available for any fintech or even any company today to set up and scale and be agile. I think there's no excuse these days on that.
When you have a customer-first mindset, it forces you to take the bull by the horn and you go the extra mile to put whatever it's going to cost you to make sure that as far as the customer is concerned, service is available.
You're sort of a barometer of the banking industry because something goes through you, something happens somewhere. It touches you along the line. Yes. What keeps you awake? How do you sleep? And how you deal with that?
That's a good question. Everyone keeps asking, how do we sleep? So once you're compliant, once you have your security measures put in place, and then once you ensure that your platforms are resilient, we just had to scale up on the Redis and have an enterprise infrastructure so that we ensure that whenever we ensure that we have a full active implementation so that we can always be up. So that's how we try to sleep at night, by making sure that we monitor. Monitoring has to be automated as well.
What we do now when we talk about regulation from the government angle is we're not trying to stifle innovation. We're trying to allow innovation to grow because we are trying to go away from the feeling about government that government is just here to kill innovation. So there are many ways you can actually regulate.
The future is not too far off now than what we each used to be. We used to think 10 years time, 20 years time. What AI, for instance, has achieved in the last 6 months, I'm sure that individuals here can say that 6 months ago is different from now, just in AI capabilities, just this year alone. And so the future is not too far off again. What we would have then will then be AI-driven infrastructure, AI-maintained infrastructure, AI co-workers, even in your office. So we think that service quality will overall improve, and it will be a beautiful future.
The next panel session. So this panel session is on beyond the buzzword, what cloud native really means for Nigerian fintechs.
So there are several moving parts in doing what we do, and it's very important that we're able to scale immediately. I wouldn't say that it's because banks started first. Yes, they went ahead of us and we learned from their mistakes. The truth is, everybody that you see today, every solution, including my organization and his organization, right? We are here to bring solutions to the somewhat shortcomings of the people that were there before now.
Before, when fintechs go on the cloud, all they need is buy a container, one EC2 server, and say they're on the cloud. But that has changed. You again have to look at your architecture. It's not enough to just be on the cloud, but you need to know how to be cloud native.
If you're going to talk about the complexity of your business on whether you should run a multi-cloud or you should run in a single cloud provider, it will depend on what's the size of the business, at what scale are you, and what's the cost consideration to determining what providers you should choose.
When you look at the Nigerian IT space and the cloud consumption, which basically drives growth as well, don't forget that these are business people. For you to invest, you need to also see a return on that investment. Resiliency comes with being able to create multiple platforms, redundancy upon redundancy. It doesn't come cheap.
I will speak to the fact that most of the time people don't actually think of putting security into the build, but after building. The challenge with having to do the security after is most of the time you see the providers or you see clients come to you and say, oh, they want to run a vulnerability assessment and they have to go live like in the next 1 or 2 weeks. So advice is always put security in place as you are building so that you can also meet up with the timeline where you want to deploy that solution to the public to use.
Thank you. We've come to the end of this session, CloudReady Nigeria Breakfasts. I want to thank everyone. The fintech industry is innovating and evolving very rapidly. And of course, it's conversations like this that make us as an ecosystem, as a country, stay ahead of the curve, innovate responsibly, and scale smartly. Thank you. God bless, and safe trip back to your destinations.